Hey team, today we're going to be talking about what is anchoring. And we're going to do that by by starting with a classic experiment about Gandhi. So researchers were interested in how old people thought Gandhi was when he died. Well, kind of. So some people asked, was Gandhi older or younger than 9? Other people asked, was he older or younger than 140? So here's what they found. So on the x-axis, we have the condition. If people asked if in the 9 condition or the 140 condition, and the y-axis, we have their average guess. When people were asked, was Gandhi older or younger than 9, their average guess was 50. When people were asked if he was older or younger than 140, their average guess was 67. So this is an example of anchoring. Anchoring is the tendency to latch onto the first piece of information we see and use that to influence our judgments. So Gandhi dying at 9 or 140, both those answers are kind of ridiculous. They just wouldn't happen. And yet because that was the first bit of information people saw, they used that as the starting point or as the anchoring, and it affected their judgments. Let me give you another example of a classic behavioural science anchoring study, the Last Supper of behavioural science studies, if you will. So people were shown a maths equation, but they only had 5 seconds to answer it, so it was much too quick to actually work it out. Some people were shown this equation: 8 times 7 times 6 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Their median guess, was 2,250. Other people were shown this equation: 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8. Their median guess was 512. Now, as you can see, these equations are the same. They're just ordered differently. The correct answer, if you're interested, is 40,320. But the idea of anchoring is that people use the first information they see to influence their judgments. And because people who saw that top equation, because the first digits are higher than the second equation, that influenced, it anchored their judgment of the equation. So let me give you 3 practical, real-world-ish examples. Imagine it's one Saturday and you're popping down to your op shop to buy a sweater. The first sweater you look at is $200 and you're like, yikes, that is wild. So when you pick up the second sweater and you see it's only $100, you're like, it's kind of a bargain. So your judgments were anchored by the first sweater you saw. Now imagine you're going to buy a house, and the first place the real estate agent shows you is a mansion that's 1.5 million. You're like, that is bougie. Then when they show you the second house that's only $800,000, that seems like a great deal because your judgment has been anchored by the first house you saw. Now imagine you're negotiating for a job offer and they say, for a role like this, we normally offer $90,000, but for you, we'll do $100,000. That might sound quite good because your judgment was anchored by the 90,000. So again, anchoring is the tendency to latch on to the first piece of information we see and use that to influence our judgments. And that's it. That's anchoring. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know.